There are some sons who inherit a crown, and there are some who inherit a promise. Prince William was only 15 years old when the world watched him walk behind his mother's coffin, his eyes fixed on the ground, his grief turned into a public spectacle he never asked for. The cameras never stopped. The whispers never stopped. And in that moment, something quietly took root in the boy who would one day be king. A determination that his mother's name would never be reduced to a tabloid headline or a faded photograph. Nearly 3 decades later, that promise is no longer a private feeling. It has become a mission. Today, behind the polished walls of the modern monarchy, royal watchers say a careful, deliberate effort is underway. One where William is steadily shaping the future of the crown around the values his mother lived and died believing in. And as he does, questions swirl about who fits into that future and who may quietly be moving aside. This is the story of a son keeping a promise. This is the story of how Diana's spirit refuses to disappear. To understand what Prince William is doing now, you have to go back to the woman who started it all. Diana, Princess of Wales, was never an ordinary royal. She held the hands of patience others were afraid to touch. She walked through minefields to show the world what war left behind. And she did something that made the old palace deeply uncomfortable. She brought her young sons into that world too, not to perform charity but to feel it. William has spoken openly about those early lessons. In the ITV documentary, Prince William, We Can End Homelessness, he revealed that the inspiration for his Homewards initiative came from visiting homeless shelters as a child with his mother. He remembered being anxious, unsure of what to expect. He described how his mother had a way of making everyone feel relaxed, laughing and joking with people the rest of the world ignored. That single experience, he has said, cracked open his understanding of the world. The royal observer. It taught him that life was not only what he could see from inside palace gates. There were others, countless others, living lives nothing like his own. And rather than letting that lesson fade, he carried it into adulthood like a quiet inheritance. That inheritance has shaped nearly everything about the kind of royal he has chosen to become. While many expected him to simply follow the well-worn path of ribbon cuttings and ceremonial appearances, William has consistently signaled that he wants something different. He has spoken of wanting his work to mean something, to create change people can actually touch, rather than gestures that look good in photographs. And here is where his mother's influence becomes impossible to ignore. Royal author Edward White has described William's vision as a Diana reboot of the monarchy, blending the warmth and instinct of his mother with the steady duty of his late grandmother. According to White, Diana herself had said she was trying to raise a future king who could ensure the monarchy survived into the 21st century. Marie Claire. That is a heavy thing to place on a boy, but William seems to have accepted it not as a burden, but as a guiding star. Everything he builds now seems to carry a piece of her fingerprint. The causes she championed, the people she refused to overlook, the belief that a crown means nothing if it forgets the powerless. The promise he made in silence as a grieving teenager has become the blueprint for the king he intends to be. If words can honor a memory, William has chosen to honor his mother with action instead. And nowhere is this clearer than in his lifelong commitment to one of the causes closest to Diana's heart, homelessness. The connection runs deeper than most people realize. William and his brother privately visited Centrepoint services with their mother when they were children, and in 2005 he became the charity's patron, following directly in Diana's footsteps. What began as a child holding his mother's hand in a shelter became a lifelong responsibility he refused to hand off to anyone else. Parade. And he has not treated it as a title to wear lightly. In 2009, William spent a night sleeping in freezing temperatures on the streets of London, with only a sleeping bag and cardboard boxes, to better understand what homelessness truly felt like. In 2020, he helped prepare food for the charity's emergency services, and 2 years later he quietly sold copies of The Big Issue on the streets, a magazine his mother had loved. Parade. Notice the word that keeps appearing in his story: quietly. William marked 20 years as CentraPoint's patron and spoke about the value of genuine gestures, saying you don't do them with an audience. It is a philosophy that feels almost rebellious for someone born into a life of constant cameras, the idea that the truest good is done when no one is watching. Parade. But William has not stopped at symbolic gestures. He has begun building something permanent. Following Diana's legacy, the Prince of Wales announced that a property in South London owned by the Duchy of Cornwall would be converted into 16 flats, providing affordable homes for young people aged 18 to 25. The project, located in Lambeth, is part of his Homewards program, which works across several areas to build a model for ending homelessness, and the homes are expected to be ready by the end of 2026. The Royal Observer. This is the difference royal watchers keep pointing to. Diana opened doors with compassion. William is trying to build the house behind the door. He has spoken honestly about the weight of it too. He has admitted that he struggles with not doing more, saying he feels almost guilty every time he leaves, after listening to what people have been through. Marie Claire. That guilt, that restlessness, is perhaps the most Diana thing about him. As one royal author put it, Diana seemed to believe that if she wasn't taking the most extreme action to fix a problem, she wasn't really taking action at all. Her son appears to have absorbed that same impossible standard, and instead of running from it, he has built his entire public purpose around living up to it. Every shelter, every flat, every quiet night on cold pavement is a sentence in a letter he is still writing to his mother. Marie Claire, a legacy is a fragile thing. It can be preserved, or it can be claimed, reshaped, even quietly taken by others. And as Diana's memory has grown into something almost sacred to the public, the question of who controls that memory has become surprisingly delicate. There is no shortage of people and organizations who wish to carry Diana's name forward. The Diana Award stands as the only charity officially bearing the name of the late Princess of Wales. Founded on her belief that young people have the power to transform their communities and the wider world, William remains closely tied to it. He recently attended the event, speaking with young leaders and having a frank conversation about the harms young people face online today. GB News. These appearances are not accidental. Each one is a deliberate act of stewardship, a reminder that Diana's name still belongs to the values she championed, and not to the highest bidder or the loudest headline. The Diana Legacy Awards, held every 2 years, honor 20 outstanding young leaders who continue the princess's work of positive change. William's presence keeps that thread alive, connecting his mother's vision directly to a new generation. GB News. Beyond the official channels, there are efforts around the world to keep her physical memory intact too. A foundation behind a Princess Diana museum has preserved garments, handwritten letters, charity correspondence, and personal effects spanning her entire life, from her teenage years through her decades of humanitarian work. Beginning in 2026, the collection is set to launch a multi-year global tour, with the goal of eventually creating a permanent public exhibit in the United Kingdom. Morningstar. The people behind these efforts speak of William's quiet encouragement. One founder recalled receiving a letter from William and Harry thanking them for their work to honor their mother's legacy, saying the brothers were most touched by what was being done. Morningstar. This is the part of the story the headlines often miss. Protecting a legacy is not a single dramatic act. It is 1,000 small decisions: which charity to stand beside, which memory to amplify, which version of Diana to let the world remember. The warm, fearless humanitarian, or the tragic tabloid figure the press once feasted on. William, by every visible sign, has chosen the former. He keeps showing up where her name lives. He keeps lending his weight to the causes she would have championed. And in doing so, he is making a quiet but unmistakable statement that Diana's legacy is not a relic to be displayed and forgotten, but a living force meant to shape the monarchy's future. He is, in effect, standing guard over her memory not with grand speeches, but with steady, deliberate presence. And in a royal world where memories can fade or be rewritten, that guardianship may be the most powerful inheritance of all. And so we arrive at the question swirling beneath all the speculation, the question your headline raises, and the one that deserves an honest answer. As William steps more firmly into Diana's vision for the monarchy, what does that mean for Queen Camilla? Here, the story must slow down and be careful, because this is where rumor and fact tend to blur. Much of what circulates online about Camilla being pushed aside is speculation, not confirmed reporting. One widely shared prediction came from royal astrologer Debbie Frank, a former close friend of Diana, who claimed Camilla's role is being rewritten in 2026 and that she will step back from duties younger royals could perform. Frank suggested the Queen's role would be more clearly defined from spring onward, though she stressed Camilla would remain a powerful force. Hello. It is important to be clear. That is an astrologer's forecast, not a palace announcement. No credible reporting confirms that William has acted to marginalize Camilla. What is documented is far more ordinary and human. Camilla has, at times, taken brief breaks from royal duties, and royal commentators have been split on what those breaks signify, some seeing them as routine rest, others questioning the timing. CBC News. The reality is shaped largely by circumstance rather than rivalry. With the king facing health challenges and fewer working royals than before, observers have noted that Camilla has carried heavy responsibilities, sometimes effectively leading from the front when she was meant to be the supporting figure. As one royal historian observed, the Queen was never expecting to find herself leading the family, yet has shown she is prepared to do whatever the institution requires. CBC News. So what is truly happening is not a war between a prince and a queen. It is a generational shift, the slow, natural passing of focus toward the future. Royal insiders say that when William becomes king, he intends to reshape the monarchy with his own bold vision, prioritizing real change over ceremony, blending the philosophies of his mother and his grandmother. In that future, the spotlight inevitably moves, not through cruelty but through time. Marie Claire. And perhaps that is the truest tribute of all. William is not tearing anyone down to honor his mother. He is simply building something so rooted in her values that her spirit becomes impossible to ignore. The boy who walked behind that coffin has grown into a man quietly ensuring that the monarchy he will one day lead carries her compassion at its core. The promise he made in silence all those years ago is being kept, not with anger, not with revenge, but with patience, purpose, and an unwavering refusal to let her be forgotten. Diana once said she wanted to raise a king who would carry the crown into a new era. Watching her son today, it is hard not to feel that she succeeded. Her legacy is not fading. Through him, it is only beginning.